Hey, what's up guys? Node Investor here. I've been getting a lot of questions about a coin that I'm going to cover today that, to be honest with you, I've been dogging for a long time now, and it was a great run in a few months back, but has been doing a whole lot of nothing for a long time, and that is Ripple. A lot of you guys have been asking me about Ripple. What's going on with Ripple, especially in light of Lumen's taken off here the last couple days. Certainly was the big winner the last week or so. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on Ripple, but real quick, take a quick look at the markets. Coin market cap. We've been in a very tight pattern here pretty much since late September, end of September, and since we crossed over into October. You can see the coin market cap here has been around 140 to 145 or so for the last couple of weeks. Very tight, very quiet action considering, I mean, cryptos are usually moving up and down pretty quick, but look at this. Just the last couple of days, 146, 144, we peaked at 150, and we're just very tight, very range bound. And I covered that a little bit in my newsletter. If you don't get the newsletter, you can get it, sign up for it free, nodeinvestor.com at the homepage. I will put a link to the latest newsletter in the video notes, and you can sign up through it there as well. But I talked about my thoughts, the market here going into the Bitcoin fork that's coming up here at the end of October, and I also covered Ethereum, Litecoin, Neo, and I mentioned a few names that I'd be watching, one of which was Ripple. So let's take a quick look at Bitcoin, and then I'll start talking Ripple here. Bitcoin. So many of you have pointed out, rightly so, the ascending wedge pattern that we're seeing on this daily chart, starting from the shakeout, big drop, low reversal bottom that we had on September 15th, and we've been in a pretty nice uptrend since. So the bottom trend line very much intact so far, marching higher, but sure enough, the top trend line is starting to form a little bit of a wedge. These patterns resolve themselves to the downside. So this is a bearish pattern that, if it breaks, tends to resolve itself to the downside. If that happens, you know, we could see a test of this 4,000 to the high 3,000 area, 3,800, maybe 335 or so. Now, with that said, it's very interesting to note this pattern could go up until this 4,600 mark, right? Right now, Bitcoin's been struggling around 4,400. That's the battle that's been going on for the last week or so, and we're up and down, but that 4,400 area has been the wall so far. Personally, I think we're going to take it out. I think we're going to go higher than 4,400, and we can go to 4,600, right? That'll be the next big wall, and it's interesting to note that this pattern really gets tight right there at that 4,600 mark. It's also interesting to point out that the pattern will resolve itself mid-October, and that's well before the hard fork. So maybe we'll see a shakeout. A lot of buyers will step in, because I believe ultimately the buyers are going to want to be in Bitcoin going into that fork, because everybody wants their free coin, right? I mean, you're going to get some free coin no matter how much the new Bitcoin fork is worth. It's still free coin, right? It's almost like an airdrop. You want to have some Bitcoin in your wallet so you can get that extra coin. So I think you're going to see a lot of buyers. If we do get a shakeout, it will, in my opinion, be short-lived, because there's going to be some buyers stepping in, going into that fork to get the Bitcoin. Now, between now and then, in crypto land, 10 days or whatever it ends up being is a long time. A lot can happen in 10 days. And so just keep that in mind. I think we're going higher. I think we'll see 4,600 first, and then maybe a shakeout. We'll see where that ends up taking us. And then going into the fork will be very interesting. Will we see new highs? Will we approach that $5,000 mark, or will it all the sellers show up there and move on to something else? Time will tell. Overall, I'm bullish. I'm going to be keeping the Bitcoin unless we see a major break of these very extreme lows here at 4,000, 3,500. I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to try to ride this out through the fork. But there are some other areas that I'm bullish on right now. Ethereum's looking really good, starting to set up. I'm still holding some Neo. And so there's a few areas, but to be honest, it's far and few between. Most altcoins have the bearish pattern still in play, Any rallies have been sold into, and so it's a very selective market. You got to definitely take your picks. So let's take a look at Ripple. So here is the daily chart of Ripple on the USDT. Now Ripple, if anybody, most of you that were back in crypto here in the March, April timeframe, remember this spectacular run that Ripple had. So Ripple had this very unusual, very tight base at 3 cents. And from there we broke out, and it was just a series of stair steps, pretty much parabolic move that took us well into the 40-cent mark or so. Now at that time, there was a lot of things that I liked about Ripple. One was the team, very solid team, and they have good marketing, they have good partnerships, and I understand they're working with the banks, and this is decentralized, right? And we don't like Ripple and the banks, but it's a good business model, right? They're taking on the Swift system, and so they had this huge run. Now they have some flaws with the amount of supply that's out there, and I know if they've tried to, mitigate some of that with lock periods and all that. But that being said, the big supply, and that's what gave us this big valuation. It's only worth 40 cents, but at that point it was worth 40 cents. But we're here top of the markets. I mean, even today, Ripple, I believe, is number 5, 6. Let me see, number 3 now. We're back to number 3. $9 billion market cap. So one to definitely pay attention to. Now, Ripple tends to march to its own beat here, right? So this curve, look at this, resembles nothing of the Bitcoin market since March, April, right? Has its own curve, marching to its own beat. Most altcoins were following Bitcoin here, with the exception of Ripple and Lumens to some extent, because Lumens is a fork of Ripple. But Ripple was kind of doing its own thing. Now, here in late August 20th, Ripple had this big bottom, right? We bottomed out here multiple times. We touched the lows right around that 13-14 cent mark. So you can see that, and then you can see it again here. And then the volume came in and we shot up, and we hit this high around 26-27 cents. But one thing to note is Ripple, during the big shakeout that we had in mid-September, when Bitcoin went from basically from 5,000 down to 3,000, Ripple never breached that low. I mean, look at the low held. I don't know of any other coin that did that is at the same price or higher on September 15th than it was on August 20th. And so that was a sign that this was the low. Ripple is done bottoming out here, and so now you're looking for a test on the upside, and that's exactly what we've been seeing. So if we zoom in a little bit here, you can see on the daily pattern, since then we've been marching up nicely. We put in this very nice ascending base here. We broke out of that last week, and now we're right at this long trend line that has proven to be resistance for the last several months. So let me zoom out again here, and that's what this blue line is, right? So you've seen this line has tended to be this wall that Ripple just can't seem to live above, and it's been declining, and now the low is in, and so we're right back there. And what I'm thinking is now is the time to really start looking at Ripple, right? We had this nice little base. Certainly you could have gone in there, and we're only about 10% from that base here, about 12%. So we're about 12% up from the base. And here we are putting in a nice little pause. Buy volume patterns have been very nice. So you see the big green bars coming in. Selling has been very minimal to date. And I'm liking the RSI pattern. So it's holding up very good. The moving averages are holding. Everything is pointing in the right direction at this time for Ripple. The question is this line going to continue to be this area of resistance that Ripple bounces off of? And if not, we're going to start to know here pretty soon. And I think we're going to move higher. My opinion is Ripple's going to start to consolidate here, maybe another couple days at most, and start to move higher. Now, the next test is going to be, can we get above this 30-cent mark, which is a big wall? And above that, I mean, we're knocking on the doors of all highs again, right? Ripple is only at 40 cents. So if we're getting over 30 cents, that's going to be a good sign. So I think it's time to start paying attention to Ripple. Those of you that have been asking me, do I like Ripple? Would I be buying it here? The pattern is very bullish, no doubt. The pattern is looking good. The volume is coming in. There's a lot of interest in this one again for a number of reasons. And I think Ripple should be on your watch list, especially with this little tight pattern that it's putting in here. And it marches to its own beat, like I said. So even if the altcoin market starts to move in another direction or does nothing, Ripple could certainly have a little run all on its own here. So I give Ripple a thumbs up. I like it. I think it should be on your watch list. And I did cover, well, I didn't cover this, but I did mention this one in the newsletter today. I didn't do a whole lot of technical analysis on it, but there was a handful of names that I mentioned should be on the watch list. Ripple's one of them. Quantum is another. And so keep an eye on those guys. Market is in a very strange position right now. I think Bitcoin was trying to have a little bit of a rally today. Let's look at the hourly charts here. You can see some big volume came in, pulling back a little bit here. It's kind of right at the 10 EMA on the 1 hour. So we'll know soon enough if this is going to be a sustainable rally. But it's looking good. Looks like it wants to take out that 4,400 area finally, but we'll see. That's going to do it for tonight, guys. Keep you guys updated on the markets as we progress here. Until next time, take care.